Joker Folie et Deux. We better hit that intro before Lance Folie adieus in his pants. Welcome to my party. We're just getting started. A life is a dream. Welcome everyone to a brand new episode of the Absolute Geek Podcast. A episode that's been a long time in the making. Lance and I were on the brink of quitting. But then, like the phoenix, we rise from the ashes to return to glory.
What do you call it when we rise from the ashes and then we go down and we rise from the ashes? And
we just keep it, it's just the phoenix cycle, baby. The phoenix cycle. That's what we do.
How you doing, man?
Good, man. Real good. Lots of things going on. Lots of things changed in my life recently. So it's been a crazy fucking 4 weeks. But I'm stoked to get back into this and get back into things and change things up. We always talk about how we're going to change things up. And I'm kind of tired of this show being like, it used to be so unique. And we would talk about everything from everywhere. And then somehow we found ourselves in this pigeonhole of the same old comic book movies, same comic book bullshit, same all that. I want to get away from that. I want to talk about more things that, as a geek, I love. So I want to do more movie reviews. I want to do more just random off-the-wall topics, diving more into the geekdom than just talking about the same old shit that every other podcast like this talks about. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to make a strong push to reboot the Absolute Geek Podcast and hopefully grow our audience and grow the Absolute Geek Army back up to where it was many, many, many years ago.
Make AGP great again.
That's right. Hashtag it, baby. Hashtag it. Get it tattooed on your ass. Get it tattooed on your dick so when you get hard, it fucking grows. You know?
Magadabuka.
There you go. Yeah, you know, so when it shrinks down, it just, you know, but when it rises like the phoenix like us, it says make Absolute Geek again.
Yeah,
you gotta have some girth to fit. You gotta have some girth to fit all that in there, though. Too.
We're growers, not showers.
Yeah, some girth and length in there. But what better way to bring us out of our semi-retirement than Joker Folie et Deux?
What does that mean?
It's like two minds or something like that.
Two minds coalescing or something like that.
It has something to do with like the mental aspect of it. Let me look it up. Joker.
A mental illness shared by two people in close association.
That's what it is. I looked it up before I went to saw the movie because I asked the same question. I was like, what the hell does Folie et Deux mean? But
I thought it meant something about like, this is the second movie.
Yeah. 2 for 2. But we're going to do this a little bit different than we normally do our reviews. I know normally we do our reviews, we ramble and give our thoughts on the movie and yada, yada, yada. But this time I want to be a little bit more structured with it. I want to be a little bit more, you know, diving into the movies because I love movies. I know Lance loves movies and we don't talk about enough movies. So we do, but we give our quick review of it and a brief synopsis and all that, but we don't really dive into the heart of movies. So the way we're going to do this is we got a couple things we're going to dive into when we review this. So first off, we're going to start with our first impressions of the movie. Did it live up to your expectations? And I'll let you
asking me?
Yeah.
I think probably you and I share the opinion of most people on the internet. No, it did not meet up to the expectations. Now it was heavily, you know,
well, like, so when I say that, kind of give me your initial reaction after watching the movie, like whether it met or exceeded or fell short of your expectations based on like the trailer and the marketing and Todd Phillips' past works.
So if you just look at, well, Todd Phillips also did like Hangover and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, he did the Hangover movies.
Yeah, and so Todd Phillips has a pretty good track record. I think only one of those Hangover movies was kind of not that great, right?
Well,
if I remember correctly.
I mean, they're all basically the same movie.
Right.
So for all of you who don't know, Todd Phillips, he's I don't know if I want to call him like the godfather of like those crazy 90s movies. That's probably not fitting. He did the Joker, the first Joker. He did Hangover. He did all 3 Hangover movies. He did Road Trip. He did Old School. He did Due Date with Robert Downey Jr. and Zach
Oh, he did War
Galifianakis.
Dogs?
He did War Dogs. He did Project X. He did A Star Is Born. He did Starsky and Hutch. He was part of Borat.
So I'm just looking at his director, 16 movies he's directed. And most of these are movies that I enjoy. He's had some stinkers in there. The Starsky and Hutch movie.
Yes, he has.
School for Scoundrels, which was the one with Napoleon Dynamite, I think.
Yeah, that was kind of a stinker too.
But other than that, out of everything I've seen here, I like everything else. Road Trip, Old School, The Hangover, Due Date. Due Date's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. It's essentially The Hangover, though.
That's another show I think we need to do, talking about movies and go through and talk about and break down and rank the late 90s, early 2000s, like teen movies, like Euro Trip, Road Trip.
Oh, yeah.
American Pie, all that stuff. Like, I just watched Euro Trip the other day because it's on Netflix again, and I fucking love that movie. But
yeah, those comedies from like the late 90s to mid 2000s, like nothing. They were all like
not another teen movie and scary movie.
Yeah. In fact, I was watching, not to derail us, but I was watching Marlon Wayans. Like basically the Wayans brothers created the whole scary movie like premise.
Yeah.
And the studio basically just like fired them after the second one and just took their idea.
Yeah, and that's why they're not in, what is it, 3, 4, and 5 or whatever it is after that.
So it was their idea. All the Wayans brothers were in it. And the studio said, you know what, fuck you guys.
I don't know if were all of them in it. I know Sean and Marlon were. I don't think.
Well, the older brother wasn't he? Damon Wayans?
I don't think he was.
Oh,
I don't think he was.
So, I don't remember now. It's been a while. So.
Oh, no. So, Keenan Ivory Wayans was in it. He played a slave.
Yeah. So, he was talking with Shannon Sharp, I think. Marlon.
Yeah, I saw that interview on Shannon Sharp's podcast. I can't remember what the name of it is now.
You know, talking about how basically they basically stole the. Oh, are they in the third one or no?
Maybe it was after. Isn't Scary Movie 3 the one with Charlie Sheen? Yeah, it's the one with Charlie Sheen. They're not in the third one. No, it's the third one's the one with aliens. So it's Anna Faris, Charlie Sheen, Leslie Nielsen, Anthony Anderson, Kevin Hart, Queen Latifah. It's the one with the aliens.
Yeah,
so they're only in 1 and 2.
First film to have no involvement from the Wayans family.
Yeah,
so
they're only in 1 and 2.
Keenan Ivory Wayans directed the first one.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he directed this first game.
Yeah, so I'm reading that right now.
Oh, nice.
But
they supposedly got another one coming out.
Not including them.
No, I think it is including them. I think they're back involved in it, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But
so this one's being April 2024. It was announced that a new film was in development with producer Neil H. Moritz attached to the project. Nothing about the Wayans.
Well, I hope they come back. But we're getting off topic talking about that.
Yeah,
we definitely need to do this.
Why did we even talk about scary movies? Oh, we were talking about early 2000s movies. Yeah. I think that would be a fun thing to. That was when all the parodies started coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and doesn't this Joker movie, just to segue us back into it, doesn't this Joker movie feel like a parody of the first Joker movie?
No, it doesn't. Not in any way.
I don't know. It was just so. No, so in short answer, no, it did not live up to expectations. What you're asking. This was one of the most highly anticipated movies of the year. And it was projected to do, I think, 50 to 60 million its first opening weekend
with a budget of like 200 million plus,
and it fell below 40.
Yeah.
And then because of word of mouth, like it dropped, like its second week drop off was horrendous. I mean, you have Deadpool, which shattered the records that it was planning on, or shattered its profit, I guess, or box office numbers compared to what it was estimated to do. Like that opening weekend, I think it did like 20 or 30 million more its opening weekend than it was projected to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kept that consistency for what, wasn't it number one for like 5-6 weeks or something like that?
Yeah, it was number one for a long time. Then I can't remember what came out and beat it out. And then the next week it was right back to number one.
Was it
I want to say maybe it was Alien Romulus.
Yeah, I think it was.
But I know it was only out of one for first place for like a week, and it was.
And then to shoot back up, a movie that's 5 or 6 weeks old at this point.
Yeah.
To shoot back up.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. So a lot of that had to do with word of mouth, right? And it's what's funny is the two movies that did the best this summer, I think, were both Disney movies.
Inside Out
2 and Deadpool and Wolverine. I think those were the two biggest, highest grossing. That's the word I was looking for. So word of mouth kind of carried that Deadpool and Wolverine. For a comic book movie to have that much of a drop off, I mean, its drop off was worse than the Marvels and Madam Web into its second week. The percentage drop off.
I believe it's the worst rated
comic book movie
on
Cinema Score or something like that. You got like a D.
So one of those ratings.
Yeah.
Like it was like a 33% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's wild.
I agree with you though. Like the hype was real when it was announced. And then it was announced that it was going to be a musical. And I hoped to God that like it was just going to be a joke. Like it wasn't really going to be a musical. Like they were Todd Phillips was just trolling us to keep people away from it. And it is every bit of a musical, but
it's not a musical. Like I'll clarify what I mean by that. Cause yes, obviously they sing music in it, but I'll clarify what I mean, but continue your thought.
It just, from all the hype and then you seeing the trailers and like, you're like, oh man, this might be good. It might surprise us. And then the final product was not what I expected. So yeah, my it doesn't live up to the hype, especially with the trailers and how much people were talking about it and how much people were speculating on it and what was going to happen and how much was going into it, how much energy was putting into it from the podcast community and geek community like us and all these other shows.
The hype was real.
The hype was very real. And then it fizzled so quick. And you started to get some of those first reactions where people were like, it's not very good. But it's like, all right, well, a lot of people were very decisive on the first Joker. So is it just one of those things? And it's just, it wasn't that. So let's go ahead and break down the plot a little bit. So,
well, do you want me to clarify my comment?
Go ahead.
The musical thing. So I am a musical fan. I like musicals, right? Good ones. Like musicals are meant to either push a plot along, right? The songs in the movie are meant to push the plot along, or it's supposed to elicit some type of emotional response, right? Of the characters. All they're doing is singing, radio hit. There's nothing, you never know, is this actually happening?
A jukebox musical is what they called it.
Yeah. It doesn't push any narrative. It doesn't add to the story at all. It just seems like they're pigeonholed in there. So that's where my clarification of musical, because we've had many movies where people sing in them, right? For instance, Step Brothers, the beginning of the movie, the family's in the car, they're all singing. Is that a musical because they're singing? No, right? No. This has a lot more songs. I think 20 songs or something like that. But it doesn't do anything for the story. When I originally heard musical, I thought it was going to be like some sort of Joker's having like this almost like fever dream type thing. So I thought they were going to be weird, twisted mental breakdowns of his character with these musicals. Nothing in those segments made me think of mental breakdowns, right? Like nothing. That's why I told people, I'm like, the idea of a musical was interesting and could have been executed to make it a really interesting movie. And then I got roasted online. People are like, people don't like musicals. I'm like, well, La La Land won Best Picture, so you're a fucking idiot. But whatever. And Greatest Showman got Hugh Jackman, I think, Best Actor, didn't it?
That I don't know, but I know. I mean,
musicals
it's
are big
enough where it's referenced to him a lot, and he's done Broadway and stuff like that afterwards.
Musicals are big. If they weren't, people wouldn't continue making them. In I mean, we've got another one coming out, I think, in a month. That Wicked one.
Yeah, Wicked.
And then Wonka came out last year. So they make them incessantly, right? But so musicals have a fan base. The idea of that musical intrigued me because I thought that Todd Phillips was to be trusted enough to make it something really different and weird to where it would have been intriguing. You know what I mean? But it doesn't do any of that. It distracts from the story. Never to mind you, once you go through the synopsis, it's basically a long bad episode of Law and Order.
See, we'll get it. So
yeah, get into your or your plot.
So
or
the
whatever.
plot breakdown is basically we pick up the movie 2 years after the events of the Joker. Arthur is in Arkham State Hospital where he spends the first 30 minutes of the movie not talking. And so the guards are kind of roasting him, like, you got a joke for us today, Arthur? You're going to tell us a joke today? Blah, 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 and like picking on him.
30 minutes?
Yeah, it's like the first 30 minutes of the movie. He's not talking.
I felt like it was like an hour.
And they're not, they're roasting him. They pay some dude to go up to him and say, hey, Arthur, the guards say that you want to give me your first kiss. Or give me my first kiss. And so Arthur kisses the dude on the face. And he gets brought over to go meet his lawyer, and as he's walking through the hallways to meet his lawyer, he meets or walks past a music class where we meet Harleen Lee Quinzel. The guard, Mick, is his name Mickey?
Yeah, it's played by oh shit, I love that actor. I forget his name. Whatever, continue.
He pulls some strings to get Arthur into this music class, and that's where we have our first interaction between Harleen Lee Quinzel and Arthur Fleck. And Lee pretty much announces that she's, obsessed with the Joker. She loves the Joker. She thinks what he did was great.
Brendan Gleeson.
She puts these acts in motion to get him to stop taking his meds and to stop being Arthur Fleck and to be the Joker again. And it was a very different take on the Joker Harley Quinn dynamic, as in the comic book, everyone knows that Joker is the one who flips Harley, who is his psychiatrist at the time, and makes her fall madly in love with him, and he manipulates her, and he's physically and emotionally and mentally abusive to her. And this was kind of that flip where Harley was the one in control and Arthur was very much the one that was kind of a lovesick puppy. So much so that they tried to escape and they got caught, and Arthur gets put in solitary. And the day where he's in solitary, one of the guards lets her come in and they bone out. And then later on, she tells him that she's pregnant. Yeah. And she gets him to dump his lawyer, who I felt like was the best part of the one character that was there for Arthur and kind of brought us back to that little bit of sympathy for the way Arthur was treated in his mental disorder from the first movie. I feel like she was kind of like that pillar that offered that, but he fired her. He decides to represent himself. Some surprise guests show up, and then Arthur's found guilty and returns to Arkham at the end of the movie. And we'll get into the end in a little bit, but I felt like the plot of the movie, the story wasn't very well told. The twists in the court scene, in the court case, weren't that big a deal or that surprising. Well, one of them was. One of them definitely was in the Zazie Beetz, because he's on trial for killing 6 people, but at the end of the Joker, it's more like 8.
Yeah,
because you think of it, you got the 3 Wall Street drunks on the train, you got Murray, you got the dude who he works with at the clown place that he kills in his apartment.
5 now.
His mom,
and then those 2 people.
And
there's 2 people in an apartment that he kills.
No, there's not. There's the 3 guys on the subway. So there's your 3. Murray's 4. His mom is 5.
Right.
And then the dude in the apartment is 6. But they kind of lead you to believe that Zazie Beetz' character, when he goes into her apartment, like you're just referring to, that he kills her and her daughter before he leaves. And then also the doctor at the end of the movie, when he walks out and he's got the bloody footprints. So we just led to believe that was in his head and he stepped in some red paint as he was leaving the doctor's office. So he's on trial for 5. They don't know about his mom, which is 6, until basically the end of the movie when he tells them.
Yeah.
But once he has this whole, like, he has this whole breakdown of identity and admits that there's no. Well, let me back up. So his lawyer is trying to get on this defense that Arthur is suffering from dissociated personality disorder, and to where Arthur Fleck and the Joker are 2 separate people living in Arthur's head, and that Arthur isn't capable of doing these heinous acts, and it was done as the Joker. So that's kind of what he's on trial for, and he's just this showman. Like, it's very evident even when he decides to be his own representation. And the little dude from the first one that he releases from the apartment, Gary, when Gary is, when he's cross-examining Gary and he's trying to make fun of him for his last name being Puddles, he's just trying to play up the crowd.
Right.
And when Gary gives his testimony and Gary says, Arthur, you were the only person that was ever nice to me, and you basically traumatized me that day when you killed my friend in your apartment, and I can't sleep.
Maybe that's why I was thinking there was 2 guys. He was there, huh?
Yeah, he was.
That's right.
He can't sleep. He can't eat. He's scared. He's afraid of Arthur. He's terrified to even be there that close testifying against him. And Arthur's kind of like, no more questions. And you see him kind of, remorseful. And then he gets his ass whooped at the prison by the guards for outing them on TV. And then when his little crony buddy starts singing When the Saints Go Marching In and they kill him, that's kind of his second, like, oh no, this isn't what I thought it was. This isn't a game anymore. And so he decides to own up to everything as Arthur in front of the court the next day. And they basically Harley gets up and leaves him, and all of his followers start getting up and leave him. He's not this Messiah. He realizes he can't be this Messiah. But I don't think the story was told very well. There was a lot of pacing issues. There was a lot of plot holes. A lot of the it came out that a lot of the scenes were rewritten in the middle of the take on bar napkins because they didn't like what was written in the script. There wasn't. I mean, what do you feel like was the strong points of the plot of this movie, if there was any?
The strong points of the plot?
Yeah.
I think the best part of the movie was the first 15 minutes when he's in prison and you see like his mental breakdown, like further descent into this manicness, I guess you could say. Like, but the movie just lost everything for me after that. Like, and this is not a knock on Lady Gaga, because I thought she did well with what was given her. And we had a conversation before I saw the movie saying that I never really liked Lady Gaga in any movies. in this movie, I thought she did a really good job for what she was given, but the movie drops off dramatically when she's introduced. I would say that is so. As far as strength in the plot, I feel like this movie would have been a lot better if in the first 30 minutes you establish court, found guilty, Joker escapes, right? First 30, 45 minutes.
But I thought the court was the best scene. The scene with Gary, I feel like is like the most powerful scene in the movie.
And you could have included that in the beginning. Like that could have led to the guilty conviction, right? But it just felt like for the first movie being so action-packed, right? And so many just hits periodically throughout the story. For this movie to have, 30 minutes, 40 minutes in between actual like pivotal, interesting things happening, and that Gary Puddles thing being one of them, or the fight in the jail, right? The Joker's dancing on the tables and whatever, like that was a pivotal moment. All these things could have been established in the first 45 minutes. And then the rest of the movie could have been him on the run, continually like just going further into that descent into what we know as the Joker. Now they're saying, oh, well, this Joker that we've seen is not the Joker that we know, right? Are we getting spoiler territory?
Yeah, that's fine. We can spoil it.
So the end of the movie, Arthur Fleck is killed by a guy who then proceeds to cut his face, implying that he is the Joker.
Yeah,
and this guy's not, like he inspired Joker.
The plot really, like, even the first one, people had that question, and I know I did, of there's no way this is the Joker that goes up against Batman. He's got to be a catalyst or a, inspiration for the man that becomes the Joker. And that's kind of what Todd Phillips did with the second one. Is in that scene is, very much in the court where he renounces that he can't be the Joker. I can't be your Messiah. All this was done by me, Arthur Fleck. The Joker is not real. The Joker is not a personality. He's just someone I made up. That alludes right there to
he's inspiring somebody.
Yeah, he's not the one that's going to go up against Batman. And that scene at the end of the movie is very subtle, where where the guy shanks him, and then as Arthur's laying there becoming unlived, and it zooms in on his face, you see the guy in the background laugh like Heath Ledger's Joker, and then use the same shank to slice a smile into his face. But even then, that doesn't add up, because Jesus Christ, that would make this movie set in the 80s, and so Heath Ledger's Joker would be way older, set in that movie. Like, there's no way they're the same.
Well, and Batman's what, like 10 in the first movie?
Yeah,
this guy is
he'd be
probably
12 in this
20.
movie, but
yeah, this guy's probably like 25, almost 30. The guy at the end. No, there's a couple, like, I understand why you're saying that, and I agree with you. I think that was the intention. But lean heavily into that. Why introduce Harley Quinn? So Harley Quinn now exists with this version of the Joker. Why introduce that character when she is heavily associated with the Joker, right?
Well, but it's more so like because she's obsessed with the Joker. So she's going to work with anybody who takes up that persona and will play that role that Arthur could not do and wouldn't do.
So it implies that she goes with this new guy that cuts his face?
Yeah, she's kind of like, no, I don't think it's implied that, but I'm saying like the way they stage her character, it's like she's infatuated with the Joker. She could give two shits about Arthur. She's all about the Joker and what he represents. So she's going to go with anybody who carries that moniker and represents that same thing. That I think her character is kind of throwaway. Like, she really served no purpose other than to be the catalyst to get Arthur to stop taking his medications and descend back into that road that had him become the Joker, and then have the Joker come out. And he couldn't maintain that, what people wanted. He couldn't live up to that hyper expectation of the character. But speaking of characters, let's go ahead and talk about the character development and the performance in this movie. I thought Joaquin Phoenix did a great job again as Arthur Fleck, but it was very repetitive. I don't think he added any new layers, any new nuance to the character. He did the same goddamn bathroom dance like 4 or 5 times at different parts in the movie. It was the same exact dance that he does in the bathroom in the first one.
Yep.
Lady Gaga, you and I talked about this. I think Lady Gaga did a fantastic job in this movie of toning down. Like, I was like, you know, she kind of sucks. She sucks in this movie, and she sounded shitty when she sings. And you kind of like, well, I think she did it on purpose so she didn't sound as polished. And as I sat and thought about it more, I really agree with you that I think she did, and that was a great way to go about it, to where she made it to where she wasn't as polished and she sounded more of an amateur, kind of like her character is, because her character was not a singer. She was just someone who committed herself into Arkham to get close to the Joker, whose mom and dad were rich, and she went to school for psychology.
That line pissed me off so bad, because that almost felt like a dangling of the carrot, because really this woman should have been his psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And he should have affected her and made her go crazy, because that's what Harley Quinn is. Every iteration I've ever known of Harley Quinn, she is Joker's psychologist, and he gets into her brain like a worm and makes her go into this descent of craziness. The fact that they added that line of, oh, I think she also went to school to be a psychologist. Fuck off, dude. That was so unnecessary. All that did was a cock tease, essentially. Like, that's all that was.
Yeah.
Right? Joker's presence or Joker's influence did nothing to make this woman crazy. And that was the biggest thing, is that you feel like in other iterations of Harley Quinn, you feel like Harley Quinn only exists because Joker manipulated her and created her. And in this, it seems like, oh, she's always been crazy. Like, she's always, you know, I guess it implies that she saw him on the TV and that's what made her go nuts. But I don't know.
Well, it sounds more like she's just bored with her life and society. So when he stood up and did what he did on the Murray show, she saw that and then became infatuated with him, because he was kind of standing up against he was rebelling against the system. And but I honestly felt like the two strong characters in this movie, acting wise, that offered the most was Brandon Gleeson as Jackie Sullivan, and then Catherine Keener as his doctor, or his lawyer, because like I said before, she felt like she was the one who cared about him. She kept trying to argue things for Arthur in his best interest, even though she was trying to play this disorder where, you know, he's got multiple personalities, and that's not the case. But like, even in court, she was strongly trying to advocate for him, and she was trying the most and the best to make you sympathize and almost apathetic to Arthur's condition and what he did and how he was treated as a child and the abuse he suffered, and kind of get you back to that mindset you had towards Arthur in the first one. But the rest of the cast, I feel just like, I don't know. It really felt like this movie was phoned in a lot of ways, or it was purposely made awful because they didn't want to make it in the first place.
Well, I was just reading something that the first movie was pitched as a standalone movie.
Yes, it was. It was. Todd Phillips has been open about that, saying that it's always supposed to be a standalone movie, and that's why the tone of both movies is completely different. And I feel like where both actor and actress shine the least was in the singing parts in his head, because it didn't fit the narrative of the movie.
Right. And they didn't even lean heavily into that psychosis in his brain. For instance, that he's singing to Steve Coogan, who's the journalist or whatever that's giving him the interview. He starts singing in that interview, and the guards is that what Patty Myers? Yeah.
Yeah.
The inmates are watching this on TV and reacting to him singing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not all in his head. So either make it all in his head or don't make it all in his head and make people look at him like, look at this wackadoo. It's just, it seemed like they had a million ideas and they didn't fully commit to any of them.
Yeah, the execution was poor.
But as far as actors and actresses in this movie, I don't feel like anybody did a bad job. I just feel like the material that they were given was poor. Like, for instance, the guy that plays Gary Puddles, I thought he did a great job. Like, he was believable. But at that point, I lost so much interest in this movie. I mean, I was looking at my watch 30 minutes in. I'm like,
Yeah,
how much
you
longer this
definitely
shit?
feel, and I said it, and I think I said it to you when I walked out of the theater. Like, you definitely feel all 2 hours and 18 minutes of this movie. Like,
Anna kept having to nudge me awake because she knew I was going to talk about it on the podcast. Otherwise, she would just let me sleep. But she kept nudging me awake because I kept like going in and out of consciousness. I was that bored. And I don't remember, dude, the last time I was that bored in a movie. I wasn't even that bored when it came to Madam Web or the Marvels. Those were just laughably bad. You know what I mean? But there was still enough flashes and stuff happening on screen to keep me somewhat entertained. You know what I mean?
well, yeah, and I feel like Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix were so good in these roles that, like, when they were on screen and something was going on, I was engaged in the minute. And I like to be immersed when I'm watching movies. I want to be immersed into it. You know, I like getting into the world. I like feeling like I'm there watching it as like just somebody who's hanging out. And you start to get that a little bit, and then it goes right into like a music session, and then you're right back to, oh yeah, I'm in a movie theater. So I start looking around to see like what if other people are enjoying it or their looks on their face. And like, I went and saw it with my wife, and she turned to me and she goes, "You didn't know this was a musical, huh?" I said, "No, I did, but I didn't think it was going to be like this." And she goes, "I can just tell every time they start singing, you start looking around and you're," she's like, I'll look at you when the movie's going and you're into it, and then the minute someone's singing, you're looking around or you're fidgeting. And she's like, you could just tell like the disdain. And I was like, there's just so much singing. There's too much singing in this movie.
Yeah, and the singing wouldn't have bothered me if it actually like did something. You know what I mean? Like if it pushed the story along. Like, I like musicals where the dialogue is replaced with the singing, but there's no dialogue being spoken in these songs. Like even jukebox musicals, like Pitch Perfect and stuff like that, right? The plot is being pushed forward every time they're singing, but
Yeah.
none of that happened in this, right? Like it just seemed like they added the musical portion just to try to be different because they checked a lot of those boxes in the first one to try to be different than everything else we saw, right? That we've seen before. When it comes
Bless you.
to, thank you, what that we've seen before in comic book movies. The first Joker did a really good job of being different. This movie is trying to be different, and to that point it becomes a detriment to the movie, right? I feel like this whole movie could have been an hour and a half and I would have gotten the same thing out of it. You know, the same story and the same beats and everything. But I'm looking at this list of cast. There is specifically one character actor that I was less than impressed with.
Ooh.
Harvey Dent.
Yeah. I feel like he was just kind of thrown in there because of
The
the
name
role.
recognition.
Yeah. And to kind of tie it back to, because like the first one, you had that connection to Thomas Wayne and you saw Bruce Wayne. So I think really Harvey Dent's in there just to kind of pull him into, like, to connect it back to that Gotham and the Batman lore.
Yeah.
But um I don't know. I mean, it was kind of cool at the end when they bomb the courthouse and you see him sitting there against the defendants or the prosecutors area,
Bench.
and half his face is all tore up to kind of nod to his comic book counterpart. But
Yeah.
I think some of the best stuff of this movie was the visuals and the cinematography. I feel like the visuals and the cinematography in this movie were very much on point with
the
the first
one
movie. Everything was shot really well. Especially the scene like when Harley and Joker are having their visit and she draws on the window, the like smile and lipstick on the window, and he kind of sits over to make it perfectly fit his face. I thought that was awesome, even though
which was a ripoff from the first movie.
Yeah,
he did that to himself in the mirror.
Even though we saw it in the trailer too, but I thought that was very well shot. Like, if there's really a high point in this movie, I think it's got to be the cinematography and the visual effects.
I could get behind that. Yeah, very practical visual effects too. That's somewhat different from a comic book movie, right? There's no superpowers or anything in this movie, which is the reason why the first one feels so real, right? Or why the Batman from Matt Reeves feels so real. There's no superpowers in this world, right? Just, I don't know. I don't know what it is about DC, Warner Brothers, man. It's like they come out with like 2 decent properties and then they have a string of shit. And then they come out with 2 decent things and then a string of shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we got the Joker and Peacemaker, and then we got the Flash and Aquaman and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then we got Batman and the Penguin, which the Penguin's been fantastic. And then we get this one, right? I really hope they break that cycle when Superman comes out in January, right? Isn't it January?
I don't know when that movie comes out.
But I don't know, man. Like, it's a shame because I love the idea of doing these like Elseworld stories, right? With the Joker.
No, Superman Legacy comes out July 11th, 2025.
Oh, it's coming out summer.
Yeah.
I love the idea of them doing these like Elseworld properties, right? That don't have anything to do with the DCU. Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I would love to get a movie of Red Sun, right? An Elseworlds movie. It's Red Sun. It's like one of my favorite books. Or Batman Hush, right? Like an Elseworlds thing that doesn't have anything to do with.
Hush isn't really an Elseworlds.
No, but I don't see Hush existing in that Justice League, James Gunn's Justice League, although we haven't seen Superman yet, so maybe it probably could. But I just want to see some of these stories. Guy, so. What's that?
Said Hush is more of like a bad guy, though, so.
Oh, just talk about that book.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Or, they probably could adapt some of these things into the DCU, but the Long Halloween and stuff like that, like Superman Red Sun, or what's the other one that was really good? Killing Joke. And I'm talking about the books, not the animated movies that they made off these things.
How badass would Joker 2 have been if it was more of like Killing Joke-esque?
Oh, it would have been amazing. But
like if
the problem is that Todd Phillips basically made this and wanted to completely throw the book at what we know this character to be. So he was never going to adapt an existing storyline.
Yeah.
Especially if his intention was this guy was never the Joker.
I just think this movie could have carried so much potential, but kind of back to the cinematography of it. Like, I loved the use of color in this movie.
Yeah.
And spots like Todd Phillips did a good job of making you feel like when he's sitting out there laughing in the rain, and every time he laughs, and like we know that it's that uncomfortable laugh now, and that it's not like humor, he can't control it, and how like painful it is, and
it's like a tick.
Yeah.
But
the use of wardrobe and color, and like the fact that even like when they're walking him to his lawyer, and they've got like 4 different color umbrellas on the top, and you just get that shot of like the top down, and you see each and every single color. I really liked.
They could have leaned into that heavier, because I don't know if you noticed when they're first walking out, all those umbrellas are black.
Yeah.
Then they do the overhead, they're all colored, and then when they go to the back shot again, they're all black again. But it's such a blink and you'll miss it. Like if they would have leaned into and added more things like that, like Joker seeing it one way and then us as the audience seeing the way it really is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, the musical sequences. They could have had him singing in his head and then switch over from like the audience perspective and shown what's actually happening in these segments. That would have leaned into, oh, these things are happening in his head more. But
Yeah, but
I can only think of one thing, the umbrella thing is where they did that.
I really think though that harks back to the fact that Todd Phillips wants you as the audience member to decide what is and is not in Arthur's head and what is and is not actually happening. So he's not very much like the first one, and I commend him on that. He's not spoon feeding you what's going on. He's not he's letting you be intelligent, and he's not shitting on the intelligence of the audience, and he's allowing you as the audience member to decide at that point in time, oh no, this is real. Okay, this is in his head. Like
yeah, but I think the movie could have been better if we were spoon fed a little bit.
I think if you had a stronger plot that wasn't set and the movie wasn't set in what 4 different locations, the prison, the courthouse, the stairwell,
and the street.
And yeah, the street.
Well, they had that whole chase scene.
Yeah, it could have been better. But
I don't know. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what did you feel was the best scene? Like, what scene really stood out to you, and what did you feel was the worst scene in the movie?
The best scene, I think, there's 2 that I really enjoyed. The chase scene when he finally gets away from the jail after the explosion.
Mm-hmm.
I liked. I also liked the jail fight scene when they break out and they're in the lot and they're kind of dancing around, and it's kind of showing that that these 2 have the potential to get into some trouble with each other, right? Like, that to me could have been like, oh, this is the thing that starts their descent into crime, right? And just for the sheer joy of it, right? Because they got such a kick out of all this catastrophe that was happening, that could have been the linchpin for, hey, remember that, like, chasing that feeling almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they don't really go into it as much. But those 2 scenes I think are, and mind you, I'm having trouble recollecting some of these scenes in the movie because it was that boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But those 2 scenes stand out to me. The Gary Puddles scene was good.
Yeah, that scene in the courtroom I felt like was really good. On the flip side, though, I thought the scene where they reveal that Zazie Beetz' character is still alive wasn't that great because she knows way too much about the events of the first movie for someone who was barely in it.
Yeah.
And they just go about it as, oh, well, Arthur's equally crazy mother just kind of told me all this stuff about him.
Yeah.
So she goes from, oh, well, your name's Arthur, right? Please don't hurt me, to, oh, yeah, his mom used to talk all this crap about him, and she'd say how crazy he was and how crazy he was and yada, yada, yada. So it's like, okay, when did she give you this information? How did you get this information? And so why are you pretending in the first one like you don't know who he is? And then in this one, you're all like, all this pivotal information about what happened. So those are kind of 2 of my favorite and least favorite scene. I thought some of the stuff in the jail was stupid too.
I like the shaving scene.
Yeah, where he kind of cuts him and he tastes his own blood.
Yeah.
There were a lot of good scenes, but it just, like you said, it felt like it was not a well thought out and put together movie.
Yeah, it just felt like they made it for the sake of making it, trying to cash in. And movies that start with that premise never do well. Cash in movies. There was some we were watching Oh, we were watching Bad Monkey on Apple TV before we went live, Anna and I. And there was a scene in there where he keeps talking about being intentional. Right? Intentional, intention. Like it was a whole scene in this episode. And I think that's when it comes to sequels, being intentional. I think that's what makes or breaks a sequel. That if their intention is to just to cash in on the success of the first one, that they're never going to be successful. But like Marvel used to be, especially through the Infinity Saga, where every movie was intentional, right? And the movies that seemed like obvious cash grabs were some of the weakest of that whole saga. Iron Man 2 being one of them. Iron Man 3 being another one. Like some of these movies that felt less intentional, like the second Thor, right? It wasn't until the third Thor where they were intentional on certain things where it was like good, right?
Yeah.
So Joker 2 feels that way, that they were much more concerned about getting butts into seats. Obviously, because the trailer doesn't lead you into how this movie's going to pace whatsoever, right?
Uh-huh.
Like Deadpool and Wolverine seems very intentional, right? It could have been a movie that they created just to cash in on the success of the first two movies. But because they use it as like kind of a catalyst to close the door on Fox and like bring these characters in the MCU, like that was their intention, right? When making this movie, and it translates on screen. And you see how much fun the actors and the director had filming this thing, and how much fun they had writing it, and how Ryan Reynolds was so strict about what was in the movie and what wasn't in the movie, right? Because we kept seeing reviews about, apparently there was a scene that he filmed with Brie Larson and Tatiana, whatever her name is, that plays She-Hulk. Apparently there's a scene out there that they filmed for this movie with the three of them, and Ryan Reynolds said absolutely not. Or they were supposed to have a end credit scene with the girl from Ozarks as the Silver Surfer or something like that. And Ryan Reynolds said, absolutely not. We're not putting any, you know what I mean? So every step of creating that movie was intentional.
That end credit scene was the stipulation for Chris Evans to come back and play Johnny Storm again. That end credit scene had to be in there.
With him saying all that awful shit about Cassandra Nova.
Yes.
Chris Evans made that stipulation?
Yes. It was that he would only do the part if
because he wanted to shed the nice guy image.
Yeah, if he could have that end credit scene, and Ryan Reynolds said absolutely, and they tried to get him to cut it, and he said no.
Well, apparently there was supposed to be another one with Julia, whatever her name is, from Ozarks, who was recently cast as something in Fantastic Four, some sort of silver. Yeah, but now they may be walking that. They may be walking that back. She might not be the Silver Surfer. Might be the girlfriend of Silver Surfer, or something like that.
Well, that's
how she is in the comics.
Shellaball is in the comics, yeah.
But so it was very intentional. Inside Out 2. I don't know if you saw it. I did. Enjoyed it.
I didn't care for it, but
you didn't care for it? I enjoyed it quite a bit. It seemed very intentional with every choice that they made in creating that movie. Something that Pixar hasn't been in a while. All the Toy Story movies seem very intentional, right? This movie just seems a cash grab. And we've seen lots of things like that. I mean, how many sequels have we seen of things that like do not live up to the first one?
Well, and you know it's a cash grab right from the rip, because Todd Phillips said, I didn't want to make a second one. But when they back up the Brinks truck to your front door, what are you going to do? Say no?
Right? Like turn down that Warner Brothers money.
They just kept adding zeros to the check till he agreed, is what it feels like.
Well, he also had Joaquin Phoenix peppering him, wanting to make a second one, which I thought it was Joaquin Phoenix after the first one saying, I'm never doing this character again.
Yeah, he said he doesn't see a sequel unless it fits and it's right for the character. And I think he let his artistic drive or ability get a little away from him.
Well, I was reading some right here. The whole premise of the second movie, he's attributing to a dream that he had.
Who, Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah. Did you see this?
No.
Okay. I was just reading it. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay. Okay. So, originally, Warner Brothers saw Joker as being their launch for DC Black. Basically, it was supposed to be experimental material, akin to the DC Black label, right?
Label stuff, yeah, okay.
However, even before the film wrapped, Joaquin Phoenix told director Todd Phillips that he did not feel ready to leave Arthur Fleck behind. One night while falling asleep, Phoenix had a dream of his character performing on stage, telling jokes and singing, giving him the idea of possibly doing a musical sequel. He then brought the idea to producer Toby Emmerich, while Phillips said in August 2019 that he would be interested in making a sequel depending on the film's performance and if Phoenix was interested. He later clarified that the movie's not set up to have a sequel. We always pitched it as one movie, and that's it. So Joaquin Phoenix is a big reason why the second one was made and why it was written the way it was written. In October 2019, Phoenix spoke of reprising his role as Arthur Fleck, saying, "I can't stop thinking about it. If there's something else we can do with Joker, that might be interesting." In another interview, he said, "It's nothing that I really wanted to do prior to working on this movie. I don't know that there is more to do because it seemed endless and possibilities of where we can go with the character." He was paid $20 million for his involvement.
Yeah, back that Brinks truck up, son. Beep, beep. Beep,
they did not consider making a conventional sequel depicting Arthur's development into Batman's nemesis by turning him into the Clown Prince of Crime or putting him in charge of a criminal syndicate, despite the original film's depiction of the murder of Bruce Wayne's parents. Phillips preferred to focus on how Arthur's breakdown captivated Gotham, being interested in examining how the very idea of entertainment went from movies and television to whatever scandal the news currently air.
It would have been more interesting if you would have saw like that dude in in Arkham with him, the one that kills Martha and Thomas Wayne, Joe Chill.
Yeah. So the beginning of the movie starts off with that animated sequence.
Yeah, like the old school Warner Brothers.
Yeah, movies. It was very Looney Tunes, right?
Yeah.
It would have been cool if they brought that back in the middle of the movie for some of those musical sequences. Like, I wanted to see weird cool shit.
Musical sequences at all.
Oh, I agree. But if they were like so gung-ho on the musical sequences, I just think they could have been done so much better. Kind of like, and obviously these are two very different kind of movies, but you know, like Tenacious D? Like whenever they had a musical sequence, like for instance, the Sasquatch scene, like these drug trip scenes, right? The Sasquatch scene could be that song alone could have been the dumbest thing ever. But the fact that they made it this weird trippy experience, or in, typical Jack Black fashion, it makes it more interesting to the story, right? Like a drug, like a fever drug type thing, right?
Fever dream
type thing. Like that's, if they were going to lean into the musical things, like I would have liked to see some weird shit. Like, and I know that you were saying like Todd Phillips didn't want to spoon feed us stuff and everything. So that probably would have been part of that spoon feeding. It just, the way it was written and the way it was performed just seems so out of place that by making them weird, it could have made it fit a little bit better. And then the other thing is too, they should have had somebody come in and write songs for it, because a couple of those songs seem just way out of.
Yeah, it would have been better if they had original songs instead of just singing covers.
Yeah, like original songs, and they did it a couple times where he's like in his own head and he's imagining him and Harley Quinn on stage singing to like an audience.
Yeah, like he's on the stage of the Murray Show.
But imagine how much cooler that would have been if those sequences were animated. Or like different mediums for each one. An animated segment, a claymation segment, a black and white segment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if they could have broke that up a little bit, I think you're right. That would have been a little bit better.
It would have been more entertaining, I think. And then also cut the amount of music down. I think they sang 20 times in this movie. Bring it down to like
so
10.
much singing.
Yeah, it was. And certain things were like 3 lines they sang, and it just didn't feel.
Make the singing more meaningful and about like the situation that they're in. Like
that's exactly what I said in the beginning.
Yeah, I didn't feel like the situation fit of the whole singing thing.
Completely agree.
But
so I told Max, I think I told you too. I was like, I hope Venom's at least entertaining. Well, so I really want to go to the movies and be entertained. And I can't think of Beetlejuice was entertaining. I like Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice was all right.
I mean, I thought it was good. Well, I mean, I'm a big fan of Jenna Ortega. I think that girl has the potential to be a really good actress. And it's nothing about her looks or anything. Like, I enjoy watching her on screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that she's diving heavily deep into the horror movie genre. She's done Scream, Beetlejuice. She did what's the first one called? X? The X, Maxine and Pearl movies. I think it's X. Is the first one.
I haven't watched any of them, to be fair.
I've only seen the first one, and fuck, dude, it's hard to watch. But she really is diving deep into this horror movie thing, and she said it herself. I mean, Wednesday is another one of her projects. So I really hope. I think Venom's going to be entertaining. I may not like it, but the second one's at least entertaining.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
I can walk away. I can walk away knowing that that's not the Venom that I know, right? And I can walk away having issues with it, but I'm not upset with the movie.
Yeah, I have my fears about Venom, especially with Noel. I love Noel as a bad guy. I have my fears that he's gonna get the Gore the God Butcher
watered down,
and it's gonna suck.
Well, is this one rated R?
I don't know.
Because in the trailer, like, it shows Venom actually eating people's heads, like, biting them off.
I would think after the success of Deadpool Wolverine, it should be, but I don't know. This is Sony.
Didn't we say since day one the first one would have been way better if they leaned into that R rating?
The second one would have been better if they would have leaned into into an R rating.
How do you have a character like Cletus Cassidy and you don't make that the most fucked up movie you've ever seen? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah,
such a waste.
But give me your final thought on Joker and your rating, and we'll
out of 10.
Yeah,
1.
That really a 1?
Yeah.
Damn,
bro. I don't think I've ever, no matter how tired I've been, have ever fought to stay awake in a movie theater. Like, I walked into there feeling pretty invigorated to go to the movies.
I mean, I give it at least a 3.5, but you're just like fucking.
Max gave it a 2.
1. Damn.
3 point. Like, you found that much good. Like, I don't know. What did I give Madam Web? Madam Web's better than this movie.
Yeah, I just feel like I give it the benefit of the doubt because of a couple of things. Like, the cinematography was great. I thought Joaquin Phoenix did a great job playing Arthur Fleck again. I liked that courthouse scene with Gary. Puddles, yeah. I just don't feel like it deserves like a 1. I kind of give it credit for being ambitious as well, and at least trying something different, even though they failed miserably and didn't come close to pulling it off. But I give extra bonus points for ambition. It's a movie that I will never watch again.
See,
Like the first one has so much rewatchability. Like I came home the night after Aaron and I saw that, and I was like, "Ooh, palate cleanser," because the first one was on HBO,
right.
and I was like, "All right, sweet palate cleanser." And the first one, dude, is so good. I could watch that one every time it's on TV. I could care less to ever watch
Phenomenal movie.
the second one again.
I think that's the thing, like, because I'd probably give Madam Web like a 3 out of 10. And if that one was on TV and my kids were watching it, because I would never like choose to watch it. But if it was on, if my kids were watching it, I wouldn't demand it being shut off. You know what I mean? Like sitting down. Like I could sit there and like watch it. Joker, this new, and I hated that movie, Madam Web.
Well, I think that the difference in that too, and I'll let you back to your point, is it's a Sony property. So you're going into it automatically thinking that Madam Web's gonna suck. Just like we have the preconceived notion that Craven is gonna suck.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a lot that plays a lot into it too, is that you go into this movie of Madam Web with that preconceived notion that it's gonna suck. So you have no expectation. But Joker 2, Folie et Deux was very. There's a lot of, like we said in the beginning, a lot of hype on it. It was very hype driven, and you would think for sure that they would have delivered on it. And I think that's what's so shocking with all the hype is just how poor it's doing and how poor the movie is.
And so much momentum from the first one. Because that movie, that first one, didn't it break the records of Deadpool 2? As far as what it grossed?
It was the highest grossing R-rated movie all the way up until Deadpool 3 came out, wasn't it?
I believe so. So Deadpool broke the record. Deadpool 2 broke its own record. Joker broke Deadpool 2's record. And I think Deadpool and Wolverine broke Joker's record.
Yeah,
because Deadpool and Wolverine, I think, is the 7th highest grossing movie of all time right now, or 6th or something like that.
Yeah, I know it was, like I said, I know Joker was, I believe, was the highest rated R-rated movie up until Deadpool Wolverine.
Yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine beat it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. All right, real quick, you want to give a quick rundown of like, how far do you want to, because we talked about just looking at a whole, like just our fall, what were you calling it? Just kind of looking at the summer as a whole.
Yeah, the fall as a whole. I mean, we spent a lot of time on Joker.
That's what I was worried about.
And that's kind of like the meat and potatoes of what I wanted to talk about. Because I mean, I don't want to necessarily talk about all these movies in one go.
Well, I don't think
justice.
we spend much time on them. Maybe we just say up until Joker, from April to Joker, which was what, October?
Yeah.
Like, what is the worst movie you saw in that time frame?
I think Joker's it.
Because I haven't watched what's the one based on the video game? Borderlands.
So Borderlands, to me, Borderlands wasn't terrible. It was kind of just like, it wasn't great, it wasn't terrible, it was just kind of a movie. It exists. And that's
But if you're a fan of the game, you'd hate it, right?
I know a lot of people that are fans of the game that hate the movie, yes. And I feel like you look at it, I look at it through the lens of like us, like comic book fans,
Yeah.
Comic book fans, they hate when they make changes and drastic adaptations to comic book movies. Well, it's the same thing
hence
with
me
video
in
game
Civil
people.
War.
Yeah, it's the same thing with video game people. Like they don't like the deviation. They want the characters and the stories because the games are so good. The story in the game is already so good. Why do you have to deviate from it? And
Did you play Borderlands?
I tried to play a little bit of Borderlands, but it's not my style of game.
Okay.
But I know a lot of people that love. My brother loves the Borderland games.
Well, they have a big following.
Yes, they do. They have a huge following, and they have a lot of entertainment and stuff. And so, you know, it's all right. It's nothing to write home about. I don't feel like
so Joker's worse.
I'd rather watch Borderlands again over Joker, yes. But they're two different types of movies.
So what's your top 2 that you've seen in that time period?
Are we talking like all
April
year
to today?
Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, did that come out in that time period?
April to today, didn't it?
I think it came out in like March or February.
Maybe. I have to look up, to be honest with you, I have to look up what movies came out this
Deadpool and
year.
Wolverine's up there, right?
Yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine's up there. But again, I caveat
Bad
Deadpool
Boys.
Wolverine with that movie would not be as good as it was without all the cameos. Bad Boys Ride or Die. I really liked Bad Boys Ride or Die.
You're a big Bad Boys fan, though.
I am. I do. I love that universe.
So
what else? I'm trying to think of like what else came out in that time frame.
Well, I'm just looking. Wait, is this? Yeah, this is 2024. Why is it telling me?
I really liked Twisters.
Yeah, that one was really good. I enjoyed that one. I like how just I love how just simple that movie was. No agenda.
I can tell you. So the worst movie I saw before Joker was M. Night Shyamalan's Trapped.
You didn't like that?
No, I thought that movie
I have it on my Plex
dumb.
account. I was kind of interested in watching it.
I thought that movie was dumb.
Isn't that's he's like a serial killer inside of a stadium,
yes.
right?
Yes. How would I rank these?
So I'm going to April, because April you can really say the summer movie season started, right? Would you say April or would you say May?
May is usually the start of the summer movie season.
So let's jump to May. So the big ones that we had in May: The Fall Guy, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, a couple horror movies that we don't need to get. Garfield movie, Furiosa, Bad Boys. That's now we're in June.
If
The
I
Watchers.
had to, so let's do it like this. So let's go. Worst would be probably Trapped, Joker. Going from worst to best, it'd probably be Trapped, Joker, Fly Me to the Moon.
You didn't like that?
I liked it all right.
Are you saying worst?
No, I'm saying worst to best. So it's like,
oh, okay.
So worst would probably be Trapped, then Joker.
Then Trapped is that bad, huh?
Yeah, I did. When the plot was given away in the trailer, now keep in mind, I still haven't seen The Crow yet, and I hear The Crow is absolute dog shit.
I think it's on my Plex.
For me, movie-wise, though, like I said, it would be Trapped, Joker, Fly Me to the Moon, Family Affair with Zac Efron, Fall Guy. I loved Fall Guy.
Fall Guy was good. I hope we get another one of those.
Actually, it would probably be Jackpot and then Fall Guy, because I liked Fall Guy more than Jackpot. Ricky Stenicki is up there. Oh, another terrible one I saw was Sasquatch Sunset. And Madam Web.
So I downloaded that one. Still have not watched it because what you told me the opening scene was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not in the right headspace to watch that.
Yeah, dude, I gotta sit down and actually like write this out because I'm like looking at all these movies now and I'm like, oh, that movie sucked. That movie sucked.
I haven't seen Megalopolis. I hear that is horseshit.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, but people who are like film snobs, aka Ish, are like, oh, it's so great. You got to see it on the big screen.
Well, Ish will also tell you that James Bond is the greatest film franchise of all time. So
yeah. My all-time favorite movie this summer so far this year is probably it's probably 4:30 movie.
I liked 4:30 movie, not as much as you did. I enjoyed it because we are both Kevin Smith fans. No, me not nowhere near what you are, but I enjoyed it. My favorite movie I've seen this year is Dee Dee. Have you heard of that one?
I wanted to watch it. I've heard about it. I just have not got around to it yet.
What's the one that Jonah Hill did about the 90s?
Mid 90s?
Mid 90s. It feels very much like that type of movie, like set in the 90s, like they have it's set in the early 2000s, I guess. MySpace, and it's skater centric, and I enjoyed that movie a lot. And then the other one that I saw that I really enjoyed was I just saw the name of it. Where is it? I really enjoyed It Ends With Us. I thought that one was really well written. Twisters.
I did like Twisters a lot, yes.
Fly Me to the Moon I liked. Probably the best movie I've seen was The Bike Riders.
Bike Riders was also very good. There's a lot of good movies now that you keep bringing it up that I like this year, but it's hard to rank them.
But they were under radar movies. They weren't like tentpole franchise movies like they normally are.
Bad Boys Ride or Die is in my top. I thought Ricky Stenicki was super funny.
I really
Twisters
enjoyed that one.
is up there at the top. Beetlejuice is probably pretty mid for me. Deadpool Wolverine's at the top. Midnight or 4:30 movie is definitely at the top.
Bike Riders was so good, dude.
Bike Riders was really good. My Old Ass, it was at the I can't think of the chick's Aubrey Plaza movie where her younger self meets her older self.
Yeah, I may take Anna to go see that one tomorrow.
Kind of sucks.
You didn't like it?
Nah, it was very meh. There's really no plot to it, bro. There really isn't. And I turned to Aaron 20 minutes into the movie and I was like, maybe like 30 minutes in the movie, and I was like, I called the plot. I was like, this is happening because of this.
Well, I'm an Aubrey Plaza fan.
She was like, you think so? And I was like, I don't think, I know. And that's exactly how it came out. But I think one of the surprise movies and feel good movies of the year that's more people need to watch is Sweet Dreams.
Which one's that?
It's the one with Johnny Knoxville when he goes.
Oh yeah, I'm the one that told you to watch that.
Yeah.
I finished it and immediately texted you and Max. Yeah, that movie's awesome.
Super good movie.
And that movie, it's surprising because when I saw the poster for it, and I obviously see Johnny Knoxville, I think it's going to be a movie like, like Action Point or something like that, where he's like basically doing a bunch of stunts.
Yeah.
It's extremely heartfelt.
Yes, it is.
Like, it caught me off guard how much thought and emotion was put in that movie. So you're right, that movie is great. I would definitely recommend to anyone to go see Dee Dee. It's on Peacock right now. I really enjoyed that.
What's another one I really liked? So most uncomfortable and unnerving movie for me this year was Civil War.
I still haven't watched that one.
It's very well done. Kirsten Dunst is incredible in it. I love the movie, but the fact is, like, it's a movie that's coming out pretty much set in the same political climate we're in right now. So it's very unnerving because of how close it hits to home. Like you go to the movies to escape, to be transformed, to forget your issues, and this one really puts our issues at the forefront.
Well, that was my argument to you with this season of The Boys, even though it follows the comic book.
Yeah, but I still liked it. Like it's not a knock on it. It just was, it's one of those movies that really was uncomfortable and makes you think and makes a statement. And like I didn't think it took away from anything. Like I wouldn't say that stuff made this season of The Boys terrible, but
yeah. Well, It Ends With Us is kind of a similar movie that it leans into that domestic violence.
Yeah, I gotta really be in a mood to watch a movie about.
Well, my wife dragged me to that movie because I thought it was gonna be like some chick flick romantic. I had no idea what the premise of that movie was about.
She probably didn't either, did she?
She read the book.
Oh, okay.
So she knew exactly what it was about.
Yeah,
but she didn't forewarn me that this was what it was about.
Yeah.
And I walked in. I was the only dude in this theater, for one. And I said, "Oh shit!" She dragged me to a chick flick. Like I was freaking out about it. And then I'm watching the movie.
The women start pulling out the big zucchini. She's like, "Oh no, is this 50 Shades all over again?"
And then I'm walking out, and I'm like, "Holy shit!" Was not expecting that on a Saturday afternoon to see a movie that heavy. Like I walked away like emotional.
Yeah, you cried
a little bit.
Did you pee yourself too?
I'm not
a monster. Of course I cried.
Well, it really dives into the idea of like single motherhood and like bad relationships and things like that. And I have two cousins that were single parents for a little while and stuff, and so it like harkened a lot of those feelings. They were with like drug addicts that treated them like shit. So
yeah,
I think it hit close to home, but I thought that movie was very well done, even though Blake Lively, from everything I've read, is a monster. So
what? She's
with
like
that movie,
sweetheart.
Not now.
Why?
You haven't heard all this?
No.
Oh man, just going a deep dive on all the controversy around this. It Ends With Us.
The only thing I've seen on it is a video of like Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds' mom, like interviewing the
main guy,
yeah,
the other guy. Yeah, just do a dive into Blake Lively and the director and main lead from that movie and some of the controversy, and then it just starts opening up the way Blake Lively treats people that interview her and how she like kind of injected herself into the creation of like changing stuff in the script, had Ryan Reynolds come in and rewrite the whole opening of this movie. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of shit. But despite all that, I thought it was a very well-made movie. So, but yeah, man, Jackpot I like. Jackpot's getting eviscerated online.
I don't know why. I thought it was a fun movie.
I thought it was fun, and John Cena's just a fun dude to watch, man. Like he looks like he's having the best time out of everybody on these movies. Doesn't it?
Always.
Like Ricky Stenicki, it just looks like he is the life of the party.
Dude, when he's in that movie in Jackpot, when he's rapping the Ninja Turtles song.
Yeah.
So funny.
Which is funny because when he was doing that, I was like, oh, you look like a yoked out version of Vanilla Ice. Like, that's a little on the nose. The other one I saw that I liked was Blink Twice.
Is that that's the Channing Tatum one?
ASU right? Just got a touchdown. You said that's the Channing Tatum one? Yeah. And it's directed by his fiance / wife, I guess.
It's directed by Zoe Kravitz.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that one was a little on the nose of
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
It is, but it isn't. So Jeffrey Epstein's whole thing is he owns a private island. Or not a private. Isn't there people that live on the island? He was bringing people there. And there's like sex slaves there.
Island. Yeah. And he's bringing like human trafficking, sex slaves, and all that kind of crazy stuff.
So this movie is they're on an island, like they're out. There's a twist in it that you start to see a little bit halfway through, but it makes it a little bit different. There's an element in there that obviously is fiction, but I don't know. I enjoyed it, dude. So I know this is off topic. ASU is playing Utah right now. Utah's ranked number 16. They're 4-1. Arizona State's 4-1, not ranked. They're currently beating Utah with 1:32 left. If they win this game, are they then ranked? If they beat a 16, they'd be 5-1.
They might be ranked at that point.
That's incredible. Last year, I think they won 3 games.
Yeah, they might be ranked at that point. I don't know.
That'd be incredible.
I don't. With all the way everything's changed in college football and the divisions have merged and all this crap, I can't. It's so hard to follow now.
Well, I'm really happy that ASU made the change to what is it, the Big 12?
Because it used to
because
be like,
now I can actually watch a fucking game.
You just go to Tempe and watch a game.
Yeah, but like because Pac-12 was just completely ran by inept idiots, you could never watch the games unless I think the only way you could watch them is if you had Cox, like the Pac-12 network. I think they were the only ones that had Cox or that had Pac-12 network. But now since they're on Big 12, they're literally prime time Friday night on ESPN.
The Ocho.
But yeah, man. So next week is anything coming out this next week?
I think so. I don't think anything comes out till November.
So we've got Saturday Night.
Oh yes.
I want to see that one.
I think my wife.
That one came out today. And then Smile 2 comes out next week, but I don't need to see that one right away. But Saturday Night looks really good. And then it's a shame, dude, because Hellboy came out on Wednesday and I hear it's not good.
They made another Hellboy movie?
Yeah, but this one actually has the what's his name? Mike, the guy that created it. What's his name?
Oh, what, the creator of the comic books?
Yeah, Hellboy. Mike
Mike Crotch.
No, what the fuck is his name?
Mike Crotch.
You don't know who I'm talking about?
Mike Magnola.
Yes. So apparently he penned the script for this.
Is it live action or animated?
It's live action, new actor. He's very much more slender like he is in the comic books. You haven't, and it's more horror-esque, like it looks very horror centric. So the trailer intrigued me. It looks very low budget though, because it's straight to video on demand. So it looks lower budget. It's obviously not a big tentpole movie. I don't think they'll do that, make that mistake again after the David Harbour issue.
Yeah.
But and then the following week, Venom comes out.
That'll be the next big one I probably talk about. It'll be Venom.
I may try to go see Saturday Night.
Yeah, we'll see. I know my wife wants to see it, so
wait
maybe
a minute.
I'll make it to there, but
am I behind on this bullshit? It says end of third quarter, and I swear ESPN said they were in the fourth quarter.
You might be behind. But on that note,
sorry.
I want to thank everyone for watching the Absolute Geek Podcast this week. Let us know what you thought of Joker. Folie do in the comment section below. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you agree with our analysis on it? Did you like the new format of the way we review movies? Let us know all that greatness down below. And for this episode of the Absolute Geek Podcast, I'm Matt.
I'm Lance. Hey, you didn't say anything about Dogma. Dogma's back. Kevin Smith got Dogma back.
Yeah,
so I thought you were just going to shout that out from the rooftop.
No,
so.
nah.
But I'm Lance. That's Matt.
I'm Matt. Yeah, and we'll see you guys next time.